What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for part 2 of the solo Act 2 Nightmare Guide. Now, we needed a change up when it came to the deck. We needed a little bit more grenade power. Considering the last 3 missions inside of Act 2 are going to consist primarily of ogres and breakers, and then a whole lot of snitches and 2 breakers at the very end of it. Now, with the previous deck, I did make it all the way till the last mission, but when it came to what strat I'd have to utilize in that last mission, it'd be a bit too difficult for a lot of people to do. Even for myself, it's very difficult. It is something you could do if you wanted to try it, if maybe you'd already made it through all of Act 2 and just kept pushing on. Maybe you'll get it done. It has to utilize with those flashbangs, but it would be a strat that would be a lot easier with other people, and utilizing it by yourself with a bunch of bots that maybe auto turrets isn't going to be the ideal situation. So that's why we needed to change up the deck, give it a little bit more of that grenade power, completely make it through as easy as possible. Just about anybody could utilize this deck, and arguably this is the easiest portion of the entire Nightmare campaign. But that being said, let's get straight into the deck, and we've got those strats ready right after this. Now, if you'd like to copy and paste this, obviously it'll be listed down in the description below in order by name, but we're starting off with Mad Dash. Going to be very similar to the previous deck. Obviously, we want some of that momentum or mobility after that hyper focus, giving us a little bit of that 50% weak spot damage, getting more DPS with this card. Obviously, we're going to need this for a few moments when there's going to be some special infected, more specifically when it comes to the last mission. Superior cardio, just getting more of that stamina and stamina efficiency or sprint efficiency. Rhythmic breathing, building up that stamina even further. Double grenade pouch, we're going to need at least 2 more in addition. Could arguably go for more. You could throw in the additional 1 slot for the grenade pouch as well if you felt like you wanted to hold more, but it's not absolutely necessary. But right after that, silver bullets, giving us that 10% bullet damage that we're also taking a hit on when it comes to double grenade pouch, and giving us a little bit more of that effective bullet range. And this is where things start to change up. We're going for bomb squad, getting that explosive damage. This is going to make our grenades absolutely devastating towards those ogres and those breakers. And right after that, Demolitions expert, gaining more of that accessory damage, not only just for the grenades, but also for the pipe bombs, the Molotovs. So if you find any of those, you could have more damage with that, but generally you won't need them. Improvised explosives, just amplifying it even more, 75% accessory damage. Now we'll take a hit to our swap speed, but generally we're only utilizing the primary weapon, especially in solos, since we have all 3 bots being auto turrets, working on everything else. And right after that, we've got fire in the hole. This is going to help us out in those moments when we're going to be throwing those grenades. We're not only going to be gaining 20 temporary health, but we're also gaining 20% move speed, giving us an amplified mobility moment. And right after that, we've got NUMB. Since we're gaining 20% temporary health every time we throw a grenade, this is going to give us that amplified survivability, 15% damage resistance, while we have that 15 or temporary health. Padded suit right after that, just giving us a bit more of that survivability, especially since we're dealing with ogres and breakers. So you get hit by that meatball, or that ogre or that breaker slams down on you, you're going to be able to survive that hit more than likely, as long as you have full health and you haven't been getting chewed away by those common infected or some of those special infected. But right after that, energy drink, just gaining more of that stamina, weapon swap speed, but specifically that move speed while firing. You could throw in Hellfire instead of reload drills if you really felt it was necessary. If you felt like you were a bit too slow when it came to firing, that could be a benefit to you, but at the same time you do want that 20% reload speed. It's going to help you out in some of those moments and just taking down some of those special infected and nailing that weak spot as much as you can. But right after that, the very ending card, grenade training, we're just gaining that amplified 25% accessory damage. Now I would suggest also buying up one of the team upgrades in order to upgrade that grenade, because it still, by this point, will be hitting very hard, but it won't be hitting as hard as it could be if you have it possibly upgraded. So anytime inside of one of those safe rooms when you're at the shop, if you see that upgrade for offensive accessories, grab it up, or possibly some of the slots could be also beneficial. But that being said, let's get straight into the gameplay and give you those strats on how to make it all the way through the final portion of Act 2 Nightmare. Alright, so now we're at Heralds of the Worm Part 2. All we're essentially going to need to buy is pretty much, what is it, we will want possibly a defib, just in case any one of the bots goes down. We will still want to maintain that copper supply, so we will try our best in order to get all 4 of the survivors through into that next safe room. But at the same time, all we'll have to buy up is about 9 grenades, get those pain pills, and you'll be ready to go. Essentially all we'll need to do. Obviously, you'll have to pull them all the way down to that gate. But as soon as we roll in, just jump on that minigun, start taking out some of the special infected, and then focus the rest of the fire on top of that ogre. Try to go for the shoulders for the most part, since those are going to be the hardest ones to hit. But the grenades will finish it off quite easily. Very simple on this first mission. This is essentially all you're going to need to do. As soon as you clear everything out as well, you'll be able to loot around, get some more of that copper, maintain that supply of economy that you'll need in order to buy the additional grenades you'll need for the next mission. Any of those moments that ogre throws it, you can obviously shoot it down. But even as you can see right now, we've already got him to halfway. Probably arguably didn't need all 9 of the grenades. I believe I only used 6. Possibly. Yes, and this is true. Then you'll have some common infected, special infected as well. And then those additional 3 grenades, maybe there's some special infected left over. You could toss 1 or 2 of those. If you have any extra, obviously you're going to want to use them. And more than likely you will find some in the coming next portion of this mission while you're looting around looking for that copper. I believe there will be an incoming horde. Boom, yeah, there it is on the left side. So you got a bit of a timer, so you're going to need to make this as fast as possible. You don't want to get caught up here. You don't want to lose any of those bots. You want to make sure you've got that maximum copper supply for that next mission. But that's essentially going to be this mission right here. We're going to skip over to the next one. Very easy. It's going to be a simple strat, very similar to this mission as well. Let's head on to the next mission now. Alright guys, now we're on Heralds of the Worm Part 2. In this mission, as soon as you spawn in the library, it's a good idea to look around. There's possibly some copper laying around, new additional weapons as well that could be an upgrade to what you have right now, as well as some of those weapon attachments, healing accessories, anything that could be useful for you going forward. You want to pull these items over to the doorway, and once we open it up and get onto that balcony, I'll show you where you can drop all the grenades that you'll be stockpiling and things that will be able to be grabbable by the time we get and jump over that edge, since we can't push back into this library safe room. Let's skip forward. Now, as you'll notice, inside of the buy station right now, we have the offensive item upgrade, and we've got 4K, so we've got plenty of currency with this. Now, that being said, if you're low on economy, you could possibly just keep buying up those gray grenades. It's not going to be a huge deal if you don't. You're just going to need additional ones. They're not going to have the same punch that they would with that upgrade, but on that same note, you want to pack a punch with about 12 of these grenades. Arguably, with them being upgraded, you more than likely don't need it, and we can utilize the minigun a bit. But that's one thing to note about this. Now, once we get out onto the balcony, it's a good idea to clear some of these common infected. If you see any birds off in the distance, just shoot them as well. You'll be able to hold this position fairly easily. Now, sometimes there will be some birds on the other side of that ambulance, so it's a good idea to just throw a grenade over there, clear that out so you don't have those problems going forward, like possibly alerting those birds right after you've gotten the ogre and the breaker can be very problematic, but that's where you'll want to throw that grenade. You'll notice here in a second, should see a couple of birds come by. You'll notice just one came up. Boom. We've gotten rid of those. There could be other piles of them. Some can be over next to the dumpster area. But any items that you find downstairs or possibly need for this mission that's in excess, you'll just dump them next to this barbed wire, and you'll be able to walk up those steps right there as soon as you jump down and pull everything from that angle. And that being said, let's get into it. Now, one thing about the minigun location, sometimes it will be over on the left behind the ambulance. That's not the ideal location. I much prefer the minigun being on that right side, right outside the safe room. For whatever reason, it just seems to benefit me more. I seem to be able to get the damage on the ogre a lot better, almost finish him off with that minigun in some instances. But if the minigun is on this side, you'll still use it, but by the time he gets to you, you'll pretty much need to book it back to this area, and you want to kind of hold this corner right outside the safe room. Now let's skip forward, get to the ogre. Now we spawn the ogre, and essentially you're going to want to aim for those shoulder pieces. Those are going to be the hardest to hit. Obviously we could go for the chest piece and automatically blow that open, but it's not going to be necessary. But you'll want to take out some of those special infected with that. And at this point, do be mindful. When you throw that grenade, sometimes the slightest movement of that ogre can completely dip out of that grenade and be very frustrating. I had a moment right here where the breaker will generally spawn over here, but somehow he got stuck for a second, but we'll still be able to hit him with the grenades from this angle right here. I thought I wasn't going to be able to hit him. Was looking around for some special infected, trying to wait for him to come in, but lucky enough, I was still able to hit him right here. Very simple. Somehow that one didn't hit, but the other ones did. And then he just rolled in very easily. Boom. 2 grenades down. We still got some on the ground, but I believe, we had 3 left, so we'll have those in surplus, and they will be beneficial when you're running to the next safe room. There could be some special infected, hawker, stalker, anything like that. Sometimes you won't be able to kill it immediately. If you come around that corner, you possibly got common infected on your back. Generally, we just want to book it on through here. You could try to slowly clear it, take out all the sleepers, try to get that additional health right there. Could be beneficial for you, but you'll notice right there, it's another one of those moments. Possibly anything could be around that corner. Exploder could be there, but by all means, if you have one of those moments, I'd say just book it. Try to avoid that hawker or stalker. You don't want to have to waste this run, considering the last mission is going to be the hardest one. But let's get straight into that last mission now. Now, when it comes to grave danger, the strat that we're going to utilize for this is not to utilize the grenades for destroying the snitches. We're going to take those out one by one and hold out inside of the church. The bots are going to be extremely helpful with their auto turret nature and funneling some of those special infected that will come upon you after you kill each one of the snitches. But we'll save all the grenades that we buy. Just buy as many as you can. After you've already got the defib and the pain pills, just completely deplete your supply of copper on the grenades. No amount is too much by this point, considering it's the very last mission. You're not going to be able to carry over this copper, and sometimes you will find some additional copper in the cars just outside of the safe room. So if you find any of that, that could be additional grenades you'll be able to gather up as well. And at the same time, if you're pretty low on health, would be a good idea to hit that med station as well, as it will give you that free charge at the beginning inside a nightmare. But if you don't need it, that could be one of those moments where, say you took a bit of damage inside of the church or running back from one of those niches, you could run back after you clear everything out, down back to the safe room, get that free heal, and be ready for those breakers later on. Now, that being said, there also is a toolkit room inside of the church. I never utilized it, but you could if you wanted to. Or additionally, that would be another healing station for you, and possibly more of those offensive accessories. It's pretty much a gamble when it comes to the accessories, but if you feel like you're going to need that heal later on, that's a good strat to take on as well. And possibly finding a defib inside of the church is somewhat high. Not exactly a guaranteed every time, but I've found more than a few to spawn inside of that church. But from this point, we'll slowly clear everything out and make our way up into the church, grab up some of the things that we'll need inside, open up the boxes, giving us all the availability of supplies that we'll need readily available to us inside of that church while we take on these snitches one at a time, and then hold out from the common infected and special infected hordes that will be spawning right after. But once we've made it into the church, like I said before, generally there will be another defib. Sometimes you may need another defib. The bots aren't exactly the most reliable. Once you run out there, take out one of those snitches and then try to run back, some of them could tag. They could get tagged by some common infected or something along those lines, get overwhelmed, and then take it out. And by all means, do not rush out to go save them. As long as you have those 2 bots with you, or even just 1 bot, you should be able to hold that door down from anything that's going to be coming your way after killing that snitch. But after we've cleared everything out inside of here, we'll start to move forward. And one thing to note, what we'll need to do with the grenades, we're going to have to run back and run each one of these up to the the beginning fork in the road right here. That's essentially where we're going to have the showdown with the breakers. It's our ideal location. It's got plenty of room to breathe. We've got that mobility, stamina, anything that can help us move around these breakers when they're trying to slam down on us. But by this point, our grenade power is going to be overwhelming, and even at the, I believe the last breaker, somehow I took out half of his health with 1 grenade. I believe it's due to the fact that Possibly somehow the 30% damage from Avenge the Fallen was on one of the bots, and I believe one of them going down gave that 30% damage to me, and I think that affected the grenade. Could be wrong about that, not sure about the science behind that one, but that's something to look into later on as well, whether or not possibly that 30% damage affects grenade damage. If that's true, glass cannon might affect grenade damage as well, considering it is just flat 25% damage. This could be something to look into later. With that being said, once we've thrown everything out into the open area here at the fork in the road, or whatever you want to call it, we'll clear out the left side. Essentially, the last snitch we'll want to have is going to be on the right inside of the cemetery. That's the last one, and it's going to give us that straight path coming down. Sometimes the breakers will spawn right next to the fork in the road. That's going to be extremely beneficial for you, especially if you get stuck inside of that swarm circle. You can't move around on the outside. At least all your grenades are going to be on the center of that, and you'll be able to take out everything fairly quickly. Now, in this moment, I believe I was able to take out 2 of the snitches at one time. Now, this was not one of those moments. But as soon as we take out that snitch, we're just going to run straight all the way to that church and just hold out from the inside. Those bots sometimes could get hit by a stalker or possibly a hawker. That's one of those things that could go wrong. As you'll notice, Holly was just stuck out there. I don't know what she was doing. She just decided not to run. But if you move back far enough, they will spawn or teleport right next to you. So that's going to be beneficial in moments like that. But from this point, this is essentially all we'll need to do, and we'll do this with each snitch. Going to be very simple, very easy. Anybody can utilize this strat. Doesn't even matter what weapon you've got. By the time you spawn in here, you're more than likely going to have a blue or purple weapon. You're going to have all the damage you'll really need. The attachments can be beneficial for you, but aren't absolutely necessary. But you will always find some new, better attachment from the church area or the previous 2 missions. Now let's skip forward, get to the final showdown after we've taken out all of the snitches. Now, if you have enough grenades, you could possibly just take out the last 2 snitches in unison. Just drop 1 grenade on them and then drop another one. If you have a surplus of more than 10 or 12, you're going to have more than enough to take out these 2 breakers, unless you start missing some. But even then, if you've tagged them a good bit with some of these grenades, you can more than likely take them out with whatever weapon you have, considering we still have some decent damage with this build. With that being said, as soon as we took out that last snitch, we just move over to this intersection. The swarm circles around us. We've got all the grenades we have or need. Now, for whatever reason, the other breaker is taking a sweet time right now. If this does occur, you will need to take out some of those special infected and that common infected horde. Now, they will pretty much be endless by this point. That's why we want to get this done as quick as possible. Generally, the other breaker will be on top of you at the same time as the first breaker, but sometimes this can occur, so this is going to be one of those moments where we've got that fire in the hole giving us temporary damage resistance, but as you notice right there, boom, Hoffman was down. I think the Avenge the Fallen procced, and we got that 30% damage, and we just instantly deleted that breaker. Very simple, very easy. That's going to be the ending strat when it comes to finishing up Act 2 on Nightmare. Very easy, probably the easiest portion when it comes to the entire Nightmare campaign. That grenade build can also be used inside of the multiplayer portion of it. Doesn't just specifically mean you need to utilize it in solo. That could be for that, or you could use this same deck for running with randoms when it comes to those last 3 missions. Arguably, you probably could use it as just a normal build, a different type of grenade build. It does have good survivability with it. It's got that heavy damage when it comes to taking out those bosses, but at the same time, there's a bit of a difference when it comes to running with other players. You obviously want a little bit more economy. You try to run more money grubbers and copper scavenger along with that. But that being said, that's for a different video, and I believe I've already made that one when it comes to the support deck. But hopefully this has helped you. Hopefully this is going to get you through that last portion of Solo Act 2 if you're playing it on solo, and if you're running this through with randoms, you still haven't gotten it done, this is going to be the ideal strat. If you need to teach other people on how to get it done, or just giving yourself a good refresh or good rundown on what you need to do in order to make it through, not feel like that bot rolling in that doesn't really know how to get things done, possibly running with some veteran people. This could be beneficial for you. But that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be running Act 3 Solo Nightmare tomorrow night. If you'd like to catch that live, hit the link in the description and follow me over at Twitch. Also be streaming every day. Maybe you don't catch it up tomorrow. More than likely, I'll probably put 2 days into Act 3 for the solo run. Just half and half it. First day, just run all the way through T5, and then the second day, run it all the way to the finish. And when it comes to soloing Act 4 on Nightmare, well, we've already done that one if you want to check that video out. It's a little bit further down the list in the previous videos, but did that on, or pre-Nightmare nerf from December update. But that being said, hope you guys have a good one.